So I'm David Power from Coolnessmere in Dungarvan, County Waterford, up in the Cumberland Mountains, and I'm here to play some music in Custy's shop on the famous 18 Maloney, the chanter that Willie Clancy played fine music on, that was made in Kilrushen, County Clare, before the famine. And the chanter has got a wonderful tone, I think, anyway. So I'm going to play a set of tunes for you now. The first one is called The Friendly Visit, and the one after that is a hornpipe called The Leitrim Thrush.
right, David. It's if it was a diet, it'd be rich and wholesome, beautiful pipes. You talked about the chanter there. You made reference to the chanter. It seems to have a great lineage. And how did you come by that?
Well, I mean, it's as if this chanter sort of just wants to be passed on from one piper to the next, because it seems there's records there of letters in, we'd say, the Pipers Club archives from Brother Gildas O'Shea to Sean Reid about the chanter and who had it and what they said about it, and when there was reeds working in it and when there was reeds not working in it, suggestions that it needed to be paired up with a full set of pipes, which as you can see has been done here. And so Sean Reid gave it to Mal White, and Mal had it for a long time, but it never worked while Mal had it. It didn't have a top and it didn't have a reed, so it was silent for quite some time, maybe up in 30 years or more. And Mal made a present of it to me, and I got it working with the reed after some time. It wasn't the most straightforward reading job.
Sure.
Done. Yeah.
And what kind of work needed to be done to revive it, even apart from the reed?
Well, this part here needed to be newly made, the top of the chanter, because so in other words, this is a new part. This is the original bit here. Other than that, not much. And
who would have done the work on that now?
There's a pipe maker in Skerries in North County Dublin called Bill Hanneman, and he made that part for me.
Lovely.
And yeah, so that's it.
Okay, and you're very different than some of the pipers I've had now. You actually make your own reeds.
I do.
Right.
Which I had a very close friend who's passed away now called Alain Fromont.
He lived in Cork, didn't he?
In Mayor,
Yeah. Or Kerry, so.
He always maintained that if you wanted to be completely in control of your own sound and also the way your pipes worked, that you should make your own reeds. And I think that's a message that has filtered down now to a lot of younger pipers these days. Most of them, you'd find, are making at least some attempt to make their own reeds now.
And how long? I know it's different with different people. How long would it take before you'd find the mojo, you'd perfect?
It can take a long time. I mean, Alan used to say that you need to make 50 good reeds before you could call yourself a reed maker. And the first reed that I made when I was about 10 years of age in Milltown Alby took me 3 days. But I suppose that's because I was young and all the rest of it. And
sure.
It didn't make a sound. It looked like a reed, but it didn't sound like a reed. And I think I was so disgusted that I went away from reed making for years after that until I got browbeaten into it by Alan to go.
All right, good. And would you make reeds for other pipers now?
From time to time I do, yeah.
I see.
It's sort of a poison chalice, that one.
All right, okay. And who would be the best reed maker in the world, your estimation?
So the best reed maker, as far as I'm concerned, is a man called Benedict Kohler, who's in Vermont in the east coast of the United States. And he has really advanced the art of reed making. We'll say the level of sophistication now in the reeds that he makes is beyond anything that I'd say the pipe making world has seen heretofore. So he brings the standard up, and then
all right,
everybody else follows.
And their natural reed, I've heard people speak about synthetic reeds, or
that's right. You can actually make reeds from plastic yogurt cartons and bits of metal, bits of wood. So anything that vibrates essentially will sort of fashion a reed for you, but then after that it becomes a question of tone, and reed makers generally prefer this plant called Arundodonax, which we just call cane. So it's kind of like bamboo, but it's a different species.
And where do you source that? Is it available in Ireland, or would it be too damp weather conditions, or would it have the quality?
Yeah, I think we'll say the alternative that would have been available in Ireland when maybe cane wasn't available, if you go back maybe hundreds of years ago, was elder. So elder wood would have been used, but not cane has to be sourced in Spain, France, parts of France, and in California. So
warmer climates, basically.
That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. It has to be kind of cut in certain conditions and stored in certain conditions, and but it's well known, it's well documented.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. I suppose that maybe the most important component of pipes are reeds.
Is something that grows wild on a riverbank in hot climates. Absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Now, you had an album out recently which we've been selling here in the shop.
Yeah.
It was called The
We call
18
it
Maloney.
The 18 Maloney, yeah, in reference to the chanter.
Oh, why the 18? Is that the century it was in?
The length.
Oh, the length?
18 inches long.
Wow.
And that's what it was referred to in those letters from Brother Gildas O'Shea to Sean Reid
Right.
as the 18 Maloney, which kind of, you know, was an interesting name to give a chanter, and I think it was also an interesting name to give the recording.
Sure. And that chanter, what key you're kind of saying?
It's pitched between B and B flat.
Okay.
And
and what limitations do that? Are you confronted with certain limitations?
It means that if you're playing with somebody, they'll have to adjust it'll have to be a tunable instrument that you play with first of all, and secondly they'll have to adjust the tuning to fit with the chanter.
Right.
But that doesn't happen too often in B flat. You're generally playing on your own, you know.
Sure. Okay.
But sometimes, I mean, I play with Martin Hayes sometimes, and he carries a B flat, a fiddle that's tuned down to where the pipes are.
I see.
And that's the way we come around the problem, so that he doesn't have to retune his fiddle all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Right, but it's a beautiful tone of it as well. In that it is very, very
that's
deep,
the captivating
rich.
part of it, you know. That's the star of the show.
Because that compared to a concert pitch set,
just very different, like almost two different instruments in terms of the sound, you know.
Sure.
And also the way you play them.
Right.
You have to be quite measured in the playing of this instrument. It has to be about the tone coming out. If you get too busy with your fingers, you'll ruin the tone and you notice the deficit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't share out pipes. Obviously, pipes are totally. It's like any other instrument. It's you're very
attached to them.
Attached and.
They're very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, if another piper was to take these up now, it'd take him a while to get the hang of them. You know?
Sure.
Yeah, but I suppose that's true of.
And would you feel the invade when you go back to playing it yourself after other people playing it? Would you feel as if it's been invaded?
That hasn't. I mean, I know that can happen with some sets of pipes if they're set up very light.
Sure.
And somebody comes along who's used to blowing harder,
Mm-hmm.
they can upset them. You know, you can actually kind of overblow them, and that can kind of cause the reeds to be a little bit unhappy for a while.
Okay.
Sounds very myopic and.
All right, very miserly. So you're a miserly piper with these pipes.
I've given them to many fellas and they've handed them back to me saying they're too hard to blow.
Okay. God, listen, it's very interesting. I could talk all day about that. David, thanks for coming up eventually. You're from Dungarvan, aren't you?
Dungarvan, that's right.
Coolnessmere, is it?
Yeah, up in the foothills of the Cumbers.
And there's an old Clare immigrant up there as well. He spent a bit of time up there, has he?
That's right. Oh, he's still there. Michael Marnin.
Michael Marnin, great singer from Ennisdiamond area.
That's right. He's just across the field from me.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, thanks again, David.
You're welcome. My pleasure, John.